Hello, everyone. David B. here, and as always, welcome to another episode of the IDK WTF I'm Doing podcast. We're going to be changing up our format a little bit, so I wanted to give a quick introduction. This episode is broken up into two parts, as many of our future episodes will be. In part one of today's discussion, Anastasia and I are traveling in the Riviera Maya outside of Cancun, Mexico. We had an awesome couple of weeks going from Mexico City to a random underground cave in someone's backyard, the Chichen Itza, to lounging on some 5-star beaches. Listen all the way to the end because we're actually giving away a chance to book a complimentary call with one of us, as well as $100 in restaurant coupons. Thanks again for listening, and remember that whomever you are my favorite person.
Welcome to the I Don't Know What the Fuck I'm Doing podcast.
Yeah, we are here in a beautiful Riviera Maya here in Mexico.
Yes. But we wanted to film an episode here because especially David has been entering into the travel industry. He's had a lot of thoughts and a lot of passionate arguments also about what is wrong with the travel industry, what is right about the travel industry, etc. Right. So David, I think you should lead us in this discussion because you've been in the travel industry for a few months now.
Yeah.
And we're
totally new into it.
And we're here in Mexico because of you being in the travel industry.
Yeah.
And we also gave away a bunch of tickets to actually 4 nights at a resort just like this one.
Yeah. So on our watch party, this is the giveaway, the Mexico giveaway that we gave away.
Surprise! It was a giveaway.
Yeah. And we thought we had an extra one, so we wanted to come out and try it just to make sure it was a good giveaway, you know, because it was the first one. It was something I had partnered with a company for pretty new. And you never know, you know, some of those free trips are just horrible. Or
they're like 4-hour-long sales conversations before you can even have any type of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this one is, like, this place is amazing. It's
I have been surprisingly surprised and pleased with everything. And there is like, hey, do you want to have free breakfast and have a sales conversation? You can definitely say no to that. Mm-hmm. Or you can say yes to that.
You can try and say no to it, but kind of
you can definitely say no to it.
But I was very impressed with the flow of how it went, like, because they did take us to an actual breakfast.
Yeah.
There was parts I didn't like, like bouncing us from person to person.
That's typical travel timeshare kind of thing. So this hotel is great and wonderful for a nightly stay. Mm-hmm. I am, you know, my opinions on timeshares. For those of you who don't, I have very strong opinions on timeshares. Yeah. And granted, if you want to have that sales conversation, you can. But the timeshare conversation usually deals with multiple people, with your manager, and then the owner, and then like the director, and it's like you're talking to 5 different people in this by design.
And it's just the fake, we need to get special approval for X, Y, and Z that they don't need special approval
Which is similar to kind of the old school used car salesman kind of method, having you wait 8 hours just to buy a freaking car when it's not necessary. So travel industry in general, I feel like there's good and bad experiences in everyone. What do you think is the travel industry still doing that gives bad experiences to people?
So, and again, I haven't traveled a ton, so this is kind of my first fun international
But you got
adventure.
that mind where you say, that doesn't need to be there anymore.
Yeah, the thing, and so I feel like all of Mexico is still kind of 90s, like stuck in, our 90s.
I feel like the United States is still stuck in the 90s too, so...
But like, so their sales mentality is very 90s-ish, where it's just pushy, it's a hard close, they don't give you all the information up front.
Yeah.
Like, had they just given me all the info, I probably would have bought into they call it not a timeshare, which it isn't, it's very different. The whole industry has changed because so many people have been
taking advantage of it. It's not a typical timeshare.
Yeah. But just because he was so pushy and so demanding, I shut off. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it.
Right.
Let me go see what my other options are. But, so that's a big one. The other thing is 90% of the systems that they use to book travel, to communicate with different resorts, to create itineraries is archaic.
Yeah. because you have the back office of that.
Yeah.
It's not like, someone like me who goes to Expedia or to even Groupon or Airbnb.
Yeah.
You're the person on the back end that sees how archaic it's actually set up.
Yeah. And fun fact, so 1/3 of all travel booked is still booked by travel agents.
Right.
So a lot of people ask and they say, hey, I thought travel agents were a dying industry. I didn't think it was a thing anymore.
Which we just found out in a podcast we were listening to when we were coming back from a cool little destination, Chichen Itza, the pyramid from the Mayas. We were listening to a podcast on the way back, and it was Africa Travel Agency, which is like the biggest travel agency in Africa apparently. He was saying that millennials are relying more and more and more on travel agents than since travel agencies. And so it's been really interesting to hear that, because I think that's true, that millennials are wanting to rely on somebody who knows what they're talking about instead of spending hours and hours and hours looking for the best deals and the best experiences, because there's a shit ton out there.
There's so many choices.
I feel like travel may be the number one content creation out there, and that's argumentative, but in my opinion, I feel like it is.
Yeah, as far as like good content that people like, you
just
mean?
Any content. It's like, hey, come to this destination. Like, travel and vacationing is a huge industry in itself.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's marketed more than maybe beauty is number one, but travel I feel like is super close to that.
Agree.
So what's the right information? What's the wrong information? What are you actually getting compared to what you're actually paying?
Yeah.
And what are the hidden fees?
As a new travel agent, actually another big frustrating thing is, number one, all the hidden fees.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, there's taxes, there's resort fees, there's this, there's that.
So they're like, it's like, I think I told you, there's an Irish song out there, it was made as a joke, with 3 gals, and I'm not going to sing it, but they're kind of like doing step dancing, and they're singing Irishy, and they're saying things like, got a flight for like 100 pence or something, and it's only a small fee, but it took them X amount of money to get there, and X amount of money for the bags, and X amount of money for the seat, and X amount. It's just like it keeps racking up, and in the end, they paid like $1,000, but it was advertised as $100 ticket, right? So that's how I feel like a lot of people are in anywhere but travel. So tell us a little bit about what could be done differently, or what people are appreciating more.
So here's, to me, what's really interesting, right? And I think travel's on the cusp of change.
Yeah.
And it's been forced into change because of COVID-19.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Lots of benefits from that.
So if you look at back in 2000, and this is something I'll talk about a lot, if you look back in 2001, we had the dot-com burst. And everyone said, like, there were all these websites for whatever, trying to make money online. That industry crashed, everyone lost a ton of money. All of the experts said, hey, stay away from trying to make money on the internet. It's never going to work. How wrong they were.
And then MySpace. And Facebook.
Yeah. In 2008, after that, we had the real estate crash. Basically, everyone said, hey, all the experts said, hey, the real estate has crashed. It's going to be broken forever. No one should ever get into real estate again.
And here we are building so many things and apartments and just selling like crazy.
We've just had a really neat opportunity because of COVID, the travel industry has crashed. And it's really struggling right now. But that makes it a huge opportunity for especially us millennials and younger, but really anyone, to get into it and innovate, because there are so many experts saying stay away from it, and a lot of people are scared of that industry now. So we have the opportunity to create new systems to book things better. There's already a few websites starting to pop up here and there with really good tech behind it to just make the job easier.
Like what?
I will have to post it. I just found one yesterday because I was working on the beach, researching some things.
In the dark.
In the dark, yeah. And
that's so sinister.
But she kind of created an Expedia itinerary builder specifically for travel agents.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's real smooth and easy.
Right.
But the other thing is the travel industry forever has been dominated by older women who are now, like, they're getting into their 50s and 60s and wanting to retire. And it's just people more our age don't even think about becoming a travel agent.
Yeah. They think some tech company's probably going to pick it up or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
And it can't work that way, right? Because each resort and each hotel and each
tour and each experience is so different. Like a corporation can't find our Daniel, our travel guy in
Daniel. Yeah, he was. Oh my God, it's gonna be so hard to pronounce this. It was in Mexico City.
we'll just call it the
I'm going to
archaeology
post it
site.
below because
Yeah.
it is a word.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful word, but I have a hard time pronouncing it. But it's the pyramids that's near Mexico City. We had a great guy, Daniel, who was our guide around all the pyramids. And because of COVID, we couldn't go to the pyramids themselves, but we were able to get some four-wheelers, and with masks, we were able to ride around the whole area and do a cave tour.
Yeah, a cave tour in someone's backyard.
Yeah.
Just some random lady's house.
That's a thing in Mexico, apparently.
And some back road chocolate factory. Not factory, but where they hand make their own.
Cacao, and
Yeah.
then they make chocolate and everything from it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not something, especially in an environment like this, a corporation can't do that.
Not all the time, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it does leave out the little guys, right? It just focuses on, the resorts and all that. So, because I'm very much of a traveler that likes to go off the beaten path and not do the mass media stuff, which you see traditional travel companies do. So, it's nice to have a travel agent because you kind of know the intricacies, is the word?
Yeah,
intricacies and the individual guides, like Daniel and like the boatman that we had, which if you guys want to see any of our trip, you're definitely going to want to check out the channels, which we'll put in links below when they're available. And you can see more of the trips and the people that we met along the way. But you don't get to see those people that really have a heart-centeredness to them, and it's not this massive company, which has benefits to some degree. But really knowing the little guys really gets you a better experience.
Way better. Like, incredibly better.
I have been so amazed at how much I love this trip just because of that.
And so that's a huge thanks to Audrey, who is a travel agent for singles travel.
She's currently on the beach having a great time.
Yeah.
So she's like, yeah, you guys go film that episode. I'll be on the beach. So.
But just her personal knowledge of all the area, because she's from Mexico City, it just is amazing.
Yeah.
And knowing the language.
That's key too. When you go somewhere completely different. For me, that goes off the beaten path. I find that very adventurous, being like, okay, I got a dictionary and my wits, and that's all I got. And trying to get from one point to the next, I find that fun and a challenge. And you do get to meet people in your own way. It is nice, though, for those who don't like that and are very timid by it, to have somebody with them, whether it's a friend or, hiring someone to stick around you to be a translator. It is actually really nice to have Audrey here.
Yeah.
To really just speed things up. Plus, we're learning lots of Spanish, too.
Yes.
Which has been helpful.
Yeah. And that, because I'm like very uncomfortable not being able to communicate, because using words to communicate is huge for me. And it's really frustrating when I'm trying to, even though they speak pretty good English, there's so much that gets missed or lost.
You're like, why don't you get my jokes?
Yeah.
Get my jokes, get my idioms, which don't translate at all.
You linked to that episode of Archer.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
the episode of Archer that's in there. Anyway.
Another idiom.
Another idiom. Stop it. Yeah. Anyway. So where do you feel like the travel industry could improve specifically with those who are considering getting into the travel industry? What should they look for that progress is coming rather than getting stuck in something where it's just like keeping them down and not able to grow?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is having better training systems. So there is a lot of educational material, but it's mostly by the vendors or suppliers.
Like the cruise line, the hotels.
Yeah, and it's very product focused.
Yeah.
It's not teaching people how to be a travel agent business owner.
Right.
So finding either a travel agency where they can be an independent contractor and get one-on-one training with someone who's experienced. I think that there's a huge lack of that out there. There's a few MLMs that also claim to be travel agents.
Like World Ventures and so on.
Yeah, but what they do is they are just investing into a monthly group travel package.
It's more like a club.
It's a club.
Yeah.
And they don't have travel agents status. Yeah.
Yeah, because you actually have a license in travel agents stuff.
Yeah.
What would you call that?
So you get what's called a CLIA number and then an IATA number. And then
which means you're specifically licensed because you took a test. You got to study, all that.
Yeah. It's not like a regulated industry anymore. But having these certain qualifications that you can only get after doing X, Y, and Z trainings, it gets you cool. Like you get behind the scenes tours at different hotels.
But you also probably access certain vendors.
Yeah, we get access to travel agent exclusive vendors that can give better trips than Expedia, Travelocity, those guys.
Right, which, by the way, back to that podcast, Africa Travel, he was saying, you know, he's like one of the larger people in the company, so he knows a lot about it. And he was saying that Travel Africa specifically and exclusively only works with travel agents. They're not, I mean, you could go to their website and get a travel something, but in terms of marketing...
They link you to a travel agent.
Yeah, but in marketing, they specifically go through travel agents because they want to make sure they're taken care of, and they work with people who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's really smart. And I really appreciate that as well because, I mean, I've done some things in travel where I'm going, that was useless.
Right.
And not worth the money, and it was because I clicked a button.
Right.
Whether the hotel wasn't what it was or the tour wasn't what it was, etc. So I think it's really important that travel agents are certified to a degree because you have access to the vendors. That's really where it's at.
Right.
It's not necessarily, are you credible? It's more, do you have access to the vendors and can get behind the scene kind of look?
And have you been there? Do you know what it looks like?
Like here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to see how cool this place is just by a picture. So,
that's why I'm doing video.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that helps a lot too.
Kidding. I get what you're saying. Yeah, you got to be here to really experience it, and it is really great. So, tell me a little, because I know you were really frustrated about travel industry and just it being in the 90s, right, in terms of like systems.
Yeah.
So, I know one of the frustrations for you and the other, like Audrey and Barb and the other agents, is that you have to like put everything together into basically a Word document and make it a PDF and send it to people. That's a lot. That's a lot of like compiling on your own.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like there could be like better processes on the horizon here soon?
Yeah, I think there will be more like databases of the vendors, right? So when you're a speaker and you're looking to get more stages, to get on more stages, you put together a media kit that has an example of your bio, some sample videos of you speaking, and kind of like an overview of who you are as a person. I haven't found a cool standardized database of that for the different resorts in the travel industry, and I think that'd be a cool thing for someone to put together.
I think it would be really nice, I would imagine, as a travel agent, be like click, 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 and print.
Yes.
You know, rather than having, again, copy pasting and kind of like what you were saying. Because I know when I go like Airbnb, I mean, it's just simple business process. The less a customer or even an agent has to do, the faster thing happen, the more confident your client is in you because how quick it is.
Yeah.
So if anyone out there listening that knows how to do coding and all that crap and wants to fix this problem, just know it is a multi-billion-dollar idea.
Yeah.
Because that would save so much frustration.
Absolutely.
And that was one of the things that kind of gets me to hesitate in terms of entering into a travel agent status, because I am entering into the travel agency or travel industry as a vlogger, YouTuber, and all that, content creator. And I wanted to bring the travel agent side of it in terms of, hey, here's my video, here's the trip, click here to access the trip or certain vendors.
To follow in my footsteps to see exactly what I did. And by the way, I put it together for you.
Right.
And
but that's kind of not the case.
It's much harder.
Yeah, it's much harder. Right? Ideally, it'd be great if I could put it together, put it in the link, someone could click on it, purchase it, and they go and have a wonderful experience. But that's just not how it works.
No. Another big barrier to a lot of people traveling too is that it is an investment. Like, you're spending a lot of money to have an experience.
Yeah.
When you buy a TV, if the TV doesn't work, you can take it back and get it replaced, or you can send it in and get it fixed. When you buy a car, you can send it back and say, hey, like, these things are wrong with the car, and have it fixed. When you buy a travel, you spend $10,000 on some crazy package, and it's not what you want it to be, you can't really get a refund.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's a super big piece that I think probably stops a lot of people from taking experience and adventures that they normally would.
That's a good point.
So being able to understand what that travel package is better, and have the confidence and comfort in knowing that, like, hey, this person is telling me about it because they've been there, is so much nicer than clicking on some pictures.
Correct.
Yeah, that may or may not be stock photos.
Right?
Yeah.
I know you've probably been there, but you go like to YouTube or Instagram and there's a video and it's just like these beautiful images with like all these drone images and all that. And you're like, wow, it's amazing. And you see this YouTube channel and they have like videos like that all across the world.
Yeah.
Those are not original videos
Right.
that they have taken themselves. They literally taken it from all these stock video places.
Yeah.
And there's actually YouTube videos that show you how to do that.
And so that's another thing I hate about the industry. Those videos are so boring.
Yeah.
Because the person's voice is always so monotone.
It's that National Geographic voice.
Yeah. If you want to have a beautiful experience in the Riviera Maya, join us at blah, 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 and it's going to be a wonderful time. And I'm just like, it's so lame to me.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you see YouTube video or channels like Yes Theory.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that go all the way around the world and they take video and it's all about seeking discomfort.
Yeah.
So they do adventurous things or things that are just out of the ordinary and it's all around the world, which promotes travel in a large way. But they're not a travel agency. But it's a wonderful way to approach being a travel agent or actually being in the travel industry itself if you use the method like Yes Theory versus the National Geographic tour of icebergs,
Right.
you know? And so it's like, okay. Yeah. But you also have to think about main markets, right? Because a lot of people think, oh, only old retired people really have those big grand vacations.
Right.
That's not the case.
Not anymore.
Millennials are huge in travel. Again, back to that podcast, just because it's super relevant right now.
Because we just listened to
and we just listened to it, and we didn't look up any facts before this. Which, again, we probably should start doing that.
Yeah, one day.
Yeah, sometime, maybe episode 5,000.
Yeah.
Travel Africa guy, he was saying that millennials are traveling more than any other generation since the boomers, right? As it's always since the boomers. But, and it's not necessarily because millennials are traveling by themselves, which we really are, especially singles. Like you, myself, and Audrey, we're all singles. Like, it's so funny. We're checking into hotels, and they're like, I was like, are any of you married, brother and sister? And we're like, no, we're all single, just friends, and that's like unusual to them.
They look at us like we're hiding some information.
Yeah. It's like, no, like you're suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Yeah, it's a TikTok reference anyway. So, but demographics-wise, travel is actually bigger than ever, and millennials are really taking it by storm because we're full on into our 30s and we're now in our 40s, so we have some cash,
some disposable income. Less of us have kids.
Less of us have kids, for sure, and we're looking for more of those adventurous travels rather than just the resort.
Yeah.
That used to be a thing. Because, I mean, we had that conversation with Audrey the other day where we're going, okay, why would we usually want to get a very nice resort that had everything on it? You know, it has the rides, the jet skis, the beach, the pools, the shows,
the whole water park.
And we're going to like Chichen Itza and Tulum, and like we're leaving the resort. We're not here.
Yeah.
And so it's like, so we would rather have a cheap hotel and then go out to do things. But it is nice sometimes just to have that full-on resort experience. But millennials don't work that way as much as baby boomers did.
Right.
So again, with these shifts happening, demographics are really key in paying attention to.
Absolutely.
And so millennials, again, we're shifting, of course we are, we're shifting everything again in travel industry world. So I feel the travel agent becomes more relevant.
Absolutely.
Than just saying, oh, going to the resort.
Yeah.
Now we need to have experiences outside of the hotel.
Exactly.
So where do we go? Thank you for listening to another episode of I Don't Know What the Fuck I'm Doing podcast.
We can't do this without you, and to reward you for your support, we would like to invite you to something unique.
Go to beacons.ai/IDKWTF to schedule a complimentary 15-minute phone call with one of us.
You can also find the link in the description.
We're here to brainstorm with you on different solutions for your business or life.
We want to hear your feedback about our podcast or even just schedule some time to say hi.
Not only that, but anyone who chats with us will get a voucher for $100 in restaurant coupons.
Schedule some time today, and we look forward to seeing you on our next episode.